People forget this. So when Michael went to Atlanta, the league was not nearly as interested in running quarterbacks. So the offense wasn't, I remember this, it wasn't designed for you. You were just, your running stuff was icing. It was just bonus money.
Yeah,
right.
I was winging it.
You were winging it. And it's like that money you win in Vegas every year, $4,000. You didn't plan for it, but you take it.
House money.
It's house money. So Lamar, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, you can see offenses now. Josh Allen, they're building running plays for it. You're a humble guy. But if you would have gone into the NFL and they would have just said, Mike, do you, what do you think your career would have been like?
Certainly would have been, even more fascinating, I will say, because, earlier in my career, years 1, 2, 3, 4, when, I was really flexible and my body could absorb a lot of hits.
Yeah.
I was willing to sacrifice and do anything on the football field. And when it came to running the football, it was no holding back. So I almost looked at myself as if I was a running back in a quarterback's body. But, it was nothing that I would have held back from. So there were times where I was like, Coach, I don't like this play. I think it makes me vulnerable. I don't want to run the quarterback draw. Let's try, a short pass to the flat or a short concept.
Yeah.
Something different, not trying to put my body in harm's way. But if I didn't hear all the chatter about staying on the field and not getting hurt and staying healthy and being out there for the team, I would have gave it up a lot more. And all I needed was a green light from my coach. Now, Dan Reeves gave me the liberty to run the football and, listen, just be you, be yourself. That's all he ever said. But it's hard when, you're getting hit and you're getting nicked up and you're not feeling as well in your shoulder or your left shoulder.
Right.
And that's your throwing shoulder. So I had all these intricate things that I was dealing with in my mind, which kept me from being that way. But it was also, a lot of coaches, saying protect yourself, too.
Now, Lamar's different. It's green light. They built an offense. I mean, literally, that offense is built. He'll have 2 lead blockers.
Yeah.
So, and I want to go, we'll get back to Lamar. I want to go to Russell Wilson. So, Russell Wilson's style is not Lamar Jackson.
No.
It was a little bit in year 1.
Yeah.
I said yesterday, don't yell at me. He has the 29th best defense, the 31st best pass blocking line, a gadget guy as his star receiver. I don't know how Seattle wins without him. Now, do you view Russell Wilson as a little bit of you? Because Lamar, we look at Lamar and we see you just dude's fastest guy in the field. Russell Wilson's not even close to the fastest Seahawk.
Yeah, but
how do you view him?
When I view Russell, and I've watched him for the last 8 years since he's been a starter, and he's been remarkable. I think Russell's a better quarterback than I was. And I think we all have our reasons to believe that we were the greatest and we were the best. But when I look at Russell, when I look at Lamar and even other mobile quarterbacks, I think to myself, why didn't I do things the way that they're doing it?
Russell's like a point guard.
Yeah, I was going to make the comparison to Mark Jackson. When you think about Mark Jackson, playing for the New York Knicks, and he was just a ball distributor. And that's what Russell does. It's not going to be fast-paced. It's not going to be flashy, but it's going to be productive, and it's going to happen. And the guys around him know that they're going to be involved at some point, so keep the play alive and don't give up.
That's a real big thing.
And that's one of the qualities that I wish I had. Sometimes I pulled it down and it was just full throttle, go.
And then your receivers ran the play.
And everything's a blur. And sometimes I see my receivers and sometimes I didn't, so I wish I would have slowed down, and that's what I like about Russell's game. It's under control. It's a thing of beauty when you sit back and watch, his body of work over the last, 8 years. It's the way that I would want my quarterback to play. So you can give me a guy like Russell, who you can compare to, Kyler Murray, or Lamar Jackson, who you can compare to a guy like myself, and you're going to get production all across the board.
Let's before we get to the Cowboys, let's talk about Kyler and Baker. And I said this yesterday.
Yeah.
There's guys in this league that can win games at quarterback. Gardner Minshew can win you games. I'm not building around him.
Yeah.
Then there's franchise guys.
Right.
I watch Baker and Kyler. Kyler is accurate, temperament, fast, special,
yes,
no mistakes. Baker doesn't check any of those boxes. Are we sure Baker's not just can win you games?
Yeah.
Because Kyler, to me, is a franchise guy.
Yeah. With Baker, what I would like to see is more offensive production, but I think he needs a coach around him that can help him be the best version of himself. I think Baker has a lot to give at the quarterback position, and his upside is tremendous. You know, he can throw the football, but it still has to be some form of structure, and that structure comes from your coach and your coaching. When you look at Kyler Murray with Cliff Kingsbury, you know, the system is spread out. You know, guys are all over the place, but they're doing good things within the offense that's helping him progress and taking advantage of his talents. And he does move outside of the pocket a little better than Baker, and he's willing to, you know, take more chances.
Is it that Kyler's just more talented, therefore
it's more talent.
He's easier to coach.
Yes, it's easier to coach.
Lamar Jackson can do things I can't teach. I mean,
Yes.
I can coach 70%, 30%.
Yes.
It's like, dude, go make a play.
Yeah, like Kyler's just, you know, he's giving it up. He's willing to go, you know, down the field, whether it's running the football or throwing the football. He'll sacrifice himself, and he'll use his God-given ability to make plays, and that's something the coach can't coach.
Yeah, I think Kyler would be a much easier. I mean, if I was a coach, I'd take Kyler over Baker because Kyler can do stuff where I don't have to be a genius.
Yeah.
The more talent you quarterbacks have, like Aaron Rodgers, sometimes I'm like, touchdown pass, I'm like, yeah, that was mine.
Right.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Coach make a bad play call. I didn't mean to call that play. They've tricked us. We're not in the right offense. They're in the defense. They got us, and he makes a 10-yard run and makes you look good. I know my coaches appreciated that over the course of my career.
Mike Vick joining us. All right, I'm supposed to be blown away by the Cowboys, but I said this at the top of my show. Yeah, it's week 16. What took so long? Yeah. I don't think you can duplicate it 5 times. Baltimore figured out their offense in about an hour.
Early.
Dallas 16 weeks in. What did you make of the Dallas win?
It was a good win. It was what I thought the Dallas Cowboys would be able to do, even though the Rams were, coming off a 2-game win streak and sort of getting hot. I was nervous for the Dallas Cowboys, but I was rooting for them because I knew how big of a game this was, and I know what this season means to this entire organization.
Right.
There's a lot on the line for these guys, and for them to fall back on the run game and for Dak to get going, and I know he was injured a little bit. They made it all work. They put it all together when they needed it the most, and on both sides of the ball. And even when they had to make their adjustments, they did. Everybody was sound, and it was a good football game. It was a good win. This is the type of win that can get you rolling, especially in the last couple of weeks and later in the year.
Yeah, NFC's crazy. Seattle, Dallas, Philly, Atlanta, last several years have caught fire in December. Some teams figured it out early. San Francisco figured it out very early this year. So did Baltimore. Other teams don't. Some teams never figure it out, obviously. Yeah. Now, I want to circle back to Lamar. Because he played Thursday, didn't play yesterday, so we don't have the urgency. I want to ask you about going forward. They're going to be a top seed. This is something that it happens every year. We fall for it every year. There's the regular season NFL, and then there's the playoff season. And there's a chance Lamar is going to face a New England or a Kansas City, a Belichick or an Andy Reid for a second time. Go back to your career. Do you have concerns about Lamar? Is that now it's intense? Now the pressure's on Lamar.
Yeah,
we're done just saying how great you are. Do you think things change or Baltimore keeps steamrolling people?
What's so critical about this question and what can happen potentially in the postseason is that, they faced Kansas City early in the year. They faced Kansas City last year, and both times they lost to Kansas City. Kansas City also beat New England, so that's a team that you have to pay attention to. Come playoff time, and then playing them the second time around, it could work, in the Ravens' favor, or it can work in Kansas City's favor once again. But a part of me says that they're going to continue to steamroll.
It kind of feels like to me.
It feels like they have that momentum and that mojo where it's like it's nothing that you can do to them. You have to play the perfect game defensively. And you have to score on offense.
Remember the Cam year in 2015? It felt different.
It felt good for the Carolina Panthers, and it was fun, and it was vibrant, and those guys was leaning on one another. But, at the end of the day, you still got to finish. You got to finish. They didn't finish.
By the way, Philadelphia, Carson Wentz. I love Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
He's working with nothing. They are out of wide receivers. Yes. Do you ever remember coming into a game and thinking, I got nothing here?
It was times early in my career when I was in Atlanta where
Roddy White.
Yeah, it was before we drafted Roddy, and I had Sean Jefferson and Brian Finneran, and sometimes I just had Brian Finneran. And sometimes Sean would be out, and Sean was in the latter stages of his career, and it was like, I got to do it all. But I accepted that responsibility and took it with a grain of salt, and I didn't complain about it, but it was very difficult. I know.
You knew it midweek.
I knew midweek. I knew coming into the week, and even if your third string, your third guy goes down, your nickel, your slot man goes down, it puts the team in a difficult situation offensively. So when I watched the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's why I said a couple weeks ago in our show, I felt bad for Carson because I know exactly what he's going through, and it's like, it's not ideal. He needs weapons on the field. He needs some sort of help, and he can't do it all by himself. But I was appreciative of what Doug Peterson has been able to do.
Yeah,
for him.
they've spread it out. It's a lot of quick stuff, a lot of tight end dependent.
Yep, just let the running back, gain some yards and try to keep the offense just moving in a positive fashion, and that's what it's going to take. Tough challenge this week against Dallas, but we'll see how they handle it.
Yeah. Good stuff. Michael Vick, 13 years, 4-time Pro Bowler. Good having you on, bud. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.